because I need to read the book of Matthew, so it would be easier to like read at the same time as someone else for me because I've never read it. You know what I mean? And then we talk about it, so it's really cool.
Good. Reading the Bible can sometimes be a bit intimidating, but absolutely necessary for anybody who's trying to get as close as they possibly can to source information, because it is the best information, especially when you start diving into it. So it's good. When you have a partner, it makes it so much easier. So I absolutely agree. So good. Wes, good leadership. I love it. Yes.
I just want to say that there are really good vibes. Like I see and sense like the spirit moving in this place, and it's pretty cool.
I love it. It's awesome. The Spirit is moving for sure. We have a lot of people that are noticing that. A lot of people that are feeding into it. A lot of people that are allowing themselves to be vessels of the Holy Spirit. It's really important to have, because without that, we're a bunch of miserable individuals who hate their lives. And the reason why is because you don't have the Holy Spirit going through you. So good vibes mean that we're being good vessels, which means that we're actually being obedient to a lot of good things. So good. I'm glad you're able to notice it. I'm noticing it too. Somebody up here, help me?
Yeah, I got to go league of the day and speak, like shadow him. Just trying to run groups, so I got to speak to his clients, right? But the company was where I used to work at for 6 months, so it's kind of cool going in there, even though what the hell's this dude doing? But you know what I mean? Real lot of good feedback from my share, you know what I mean? So,
that's awesome. How'd that feel? Good?
Yeah, it's so good.
I love it. You're definitely one of those people that I see that is being tailored to become a speaker, to become a teacher. You have great vibes. You're always really positive with people and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, and we went to the one after that. We went all the way to LA for one client, right?
Yeah.
One client. This dude was a deputy sheriff, right? For whatever years and shit.
Yeah.
And it's the most bougiest house I've ever seen.
Yeah.
One guy, he's got a private chef, but they can't watch TV. So it's but it's got it beneficial because he's reading a book. But yeah, we chopped it up. We went on a walk. And things cool. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't like a deputy sheriff. Like I thought he was a deputy sheriff inside the county jail, but still, like, you know what I'm saying? Like different. Like, but if you looked at it, it was like a server. So you know what I mean? But it was just like I got to go hear my story too. So it was cool. Like to see both sides.
That's awesome. You get to kind of like go to different walks of life, different types of people and stuff like that, to share the same story and be able to see how powerful it is across the board. That's awesome. And you'll be able to see like, oh man, my story is like universal.
Yeah, it is. That's when it just goes to show it don't matter. It don't matter who or where you come from. We all suffer from the same.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for sharing, and that's awesome. I'm glad you got to that point.
Exactly.
Billy, you got some?
Oh no.
All right, that's fine.
It's kind of pissed me off.
All right, sounds good. There's a lot of great things that are happening inside. Oh, sorry, go, please.
I finally started to be able to start volunteering at an equine therapy for horses.
Yeah.
Like just grooming, and then also it does lessons for it's like based around like special needs kids and stuff. So I got really happy about that. And then I got my eyebrows done today for the first time ever.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd be able to do that.
They look great.
They look amazing.
Yeah. And like I've been going to like the beach and playing like volleyball, and then I started going back to Northbound like alumni.
Yeah.
And it's crazy like to see how far I came.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, and I'm just like really grateful. Like I'm just really grateful for like EBT. I'm grateful for my car.
Yeah.
I'm just like grateful that I have like a roof over my head and just food to eat and like really good solid fellowship, like really good friends.
Yeah.
Earlier this week I was like craving really hard and like let's go bowling. So we went bowling.
Yeah.
I sucked, but you know, it was fun.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Yeah. That's just
That's
that.
great. I think what you're doing by this point, you're just starting to like soak in all the blessings that are happening, right?
Yeah.
Starting soaking in, you're like, wow, man, that's kind of cool. Like
Yeah.
cool things are happening, you know?
It is.
And sometimes it's hard to notice those things when like there's a couple of things that are like looming. And you're like, it's like, you know what? Even though there's a couple of things looming, there's a bunch of other things that are there that are super great and awesome. So thank you for sharing that. Because good things are happening all over the place.
Like your arms are getting a lot bigger.
Hello, welcome. Glad you guys are here.
Amazing.
Great things are happening in our church, and lots of people are able to share that, and that's a wonderful thing. Remember, it's not it's not just about is God doing something, it's are you noticing God doing something? Because God has been doing something all the time. God has been doing stuff while we notice it or not. God has been doing stuff for your life, your whole entire life, but only recently have you really been able to try to put into practice noticing those things and seeing God moving. When we begin to notice those things, we get to participate with it. So instead of being sad as God throws you miracles, we get to actually be happy and grateful for all those miracles that are coming into our lives. So I think it's a wonderful thing, and I think that we're going to continue to head in that direction. Would anybody like to open us up in prayer? Anybody? No? If I pray, I'm praying for somebody. All right, please.
Dear Heavenly Father, I want to say thank you for everybody that's made it to this room. I just want to ask that you lend our ears so that we can receive the message from Anthony tonight and anybody else who has to speak, and let it flow through us whenever we leave this room to speak out to anybody else. And I say you pray and watch over all our families, and not just our families, but everybody else that's struggling with addiction and mental health, and anybody that's struggling in general. And I ask that you just fill this room full of joy and love in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Thank you, Cody.
Thank you. Sorry, I forgot to church. So tonight's message is called Jesus Bucks. Has anybody ever heard this term before?
Yes.
What do you guys think it means?
Means to get paid by Jesus.
Paid by Jesus. All right, I like that. Yes.
So scripture says that if you want celebration or you want things on this earth, that's the only place you get them. So if you're doing things for recognition or you're doing things for money, property, prestige, and you have those kind of things, then this is where I'm going to get it. If I'm doing it with the mentality of Jesus Bucks, then I know that it's something that's happening in the kingdom, and that's where I'm going to have my flow. It's not going to be there.
I love it.
I don't really live here.
It's like a certain kind of spiritual currency, right?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, right? I like that. That was actually solid. Jesus Bucks has been thrown around ever since I've been coming to church for a long time, and Chief uses it a lot. It's like, oh man, what am I getting paid? I'm getting paid Jesus Bucks. There's some people that have been in the church for a long time. Chill's one of those people who's like, I'm a billionaire when it comes to Jesus Bucks. I'm trying to make some money. People get into that place where they begin to understand that, like, man, what are we doing with all these Jesus Bucks? And that's what kind of like got me thinking about this, because some people really don't like think twice about this idea of like being paid in quote unquote spiritual currency. Now, Jesus Bucks isn't a biblical thing at all, but it's more of like this really cool, to me, a good analogy about how it is, like what is it that you're doing? What are you doing it for? I'm not doing it for earthly things per se. I'm doing it for spiritual reasons, and that's what I get paid in, is to be able to get that currency back from God. And I started thinking about it and like what this reminds me of more than anything. And you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Chuck E. Cheese. Does anybody not know what Chuck E. Cheese is? Good. I was literally thinking like, I wonder if there's like a bunch of people who don't know what Chuck E. Cheese is. Like I was stressing out about like how I was gonna have to explain what Chuck E. Cheese is. Good. Everybody knows what Chuck E. Cheese is. Honestly, when I think about Jesus Bucks, it always just reminded me of like tickets over at Chuck E. Cheese, you know?
So you can buy the stuff?
Yeah, because it's a different world, right? You go in there and you get your money, you get tokens, and you get tickets, and you get to get things and stuff like that. I always think about Chuck E. Cheese. Chuck E. Cheese is one of my favorite places to go to when I was a kid. It was like the closest thing you can get to for poor kids like me before Disneyland.
Yeah.
You know, you get to a place where you're like, we didn't have the carnival coming in all the time either. So Chuck E. Cheese was the closest thing you got. You just went in there, ate some pizza, played some games, get some tickets, get some prizes, crappy prizes, good prizes sometimes if you're that good. And it was fun. Like I like the environment, I liked everything with it. But Chuck E. Cheese was one of those places, like a lot of fun for me to be able to go to as a kid. I began to remember certain things about it. So Chuck E. Cheese is one of the things that I remember. Chuck E. Cheese has the environment, right? Chuck E. Cheese is a very specific environment. When you walk in there, it's almost like a different world. Specific environment, it's very animated, there's a lot of colors, a lot of sound. If you go there now, it's loud. Like when I go in there, it's like, oh my god, it's too loud in here. But it is really loud. And for kids, we love that. It's free to enter, if you remember. If you're going, at least the times that I was going in there, it was free to enter. You just went in there, they didn't care if you went in there. You've been in there as long as you got a stamp, knowing that you were, attached to another adult there. That was important for them, I'm sure. But it was free to enter, and then you had to get some currency. You had to buy tokens. Get your monies, get some tokens. And usually it's about $0.25 per token, at least the time that I was going there. So you kind of get $1, you get 4 tokens, and then you gotta go from there. And all the games cost different amount of tokens, which gets me to the games. The games, it costs to play. You can go in there for free, but it costs to actually play the games. There really wasn't any free games to be playing. You gotta get good at these games too, right? You go in there's some games you're not so good at, some other games you really want to get good at because they crank out the most tickets. So something that you gotta actually get good at and be able to pay as much as you could to be able to do that. If you wanted more tickets, you got to play more games. As simple as that. Or you can be really good at one specific game, or get really lucky and get some sort of jackpot. But for the most part, you had to play more if you wanted to gain more. And another thing is, you got to work pretty hard, depending on how hard these games were. There's certain things. There's certain games like one of my favorite ones was the one that went out around the dome like this, little light goes around the dome. You have to stop it right on the center piece. That was one of my favorite ones to get do because I thought that I was pretty decent at it. I doubt that I was. I like playing it. It was a lot of fun. But it's a lot of hard work to be able to gain a lot of tickets. Which goes me over to the tickets, the prizes. There were a bunch of prizes. It's almost like a wall, right? There's always a wall of prizes, the ones you're never going to get, and then the ones that are right there inside this little glass countertop. And those are all the little cheap ones. So they give you like Laffy Taffy, or they're giving you like little small soldiers, or maybe a laser or something like that. But those are the low level ones. My brain was usually looking down at these ones, like I'm not getting that 20,000 ticket race card.
Was it like tokens to play a game?
Yeah, you put a token inside and win some tickets, right? Tickets that turn into currency. But there's a bunch of prizes, all kinds of prizes. And the little toys cost a little bit. Like I remember little army guys, they had a little parachute. You throw it, little parachute come down. Usually like 10 tickets for that. You get a little bouncy ball for like 10 tickets or something in the store. But the little toys, it cost a little. But the big toys, it cost the most. There's always like that one toy up there and be like, man, it's like 1 million tickets. You're like, oh man, one day I'm gonna get that one. You're not gonna get that. There's no way you're gonna get that. But yeah, it was like a Super Soaker or something, or it was like a little RC car or something like that. It was always something really, really cool. And they had a bunch of things on the in-between as well. And then you always had a gold toy. If you're like me, you walk in, they'd be like, that's the thing that I'm working for today. It's 500 tickets. All right, brother. 500 tickets. You go in there, you're like, all right, give me the coins. I know what game I'm going to. I'm going to be able to earn this one. I'm going to get that toy, whatever that was. But it was always a gold toy. This right here was the experience of Chuck E. Cheese to me. To me, it was the games. I'm a gamer, so the shows were cool. The pizza was fine. Honestly, I don't remember the pizza. I remember the pizza recently when I did go with the kid. And the pizza was actually pretty decent. But I don't remember the pizza when I was a kid. I only exclusively remember the games. I just remember playing the games, which is like the main thing there. They had ball pits and stuff like that, but this was kind of like the main thing, was the games themselves and the whole prizes.
I think it was rolling the ball up into the little things that got the most going.
Oh, the skee ball?
Yeah.
Yeah, skee ball is fun. I like skee ball a lot. I'm a little thing on skee ball.
That's a skee ball.
For me, it reminds me that Jesus bucks are kind of like prize tickets. Whenever I think about Jesus bucks, and whenever we talk about the idea of Jesus bucks, it reminds me of prize tickets more than anything. Okay. And I thought of this analogy, and I really want to walk you guys through it with me and see if you guys can see the same thing that I do. Before I get into that, though, here's a cool little quote. Albert Einstein said, "Life is just like a game. First, you have to learn the rules of the game, and then play it better than anyone else." Anyone else sometimes ends up becoming ourselves, right? You got to play it better than we played it last time. But life is just like a game. First, you have to learn the rules. We come into life. We figure out the rules. Whether it is we stumble all over ourselves and figure out, those are the rules, or somebody gets to tell us, hey, this is how things are done. If you don't do it this way, you're either going to fall off or you're never going to win anything. Well, we got to figure out what those rules are, and then from that point, we're in a competitive spirit. We want to start doing well. We want to start doing better than ourselves or any other people around us, maybe family members or maybe generations of people that have played this game. But Albert Einstein thought that life was just like a game, and I think I agree. So the way that I see this, as I break this down, the first thing that I talked about was the environment. Okay. How does Jesus bucks look like us today? What does it look like when it comes down to the spiritual environment? The way that I see it is we have a specific environment. When we accept Jesus, the world begins to change. Shortcomings become opportunities and worries become challenges. The environment tends to change. When you begin to start believing in Christ, start believing in God, all of a sudden things begin to switch around. You're going to see things a little bit different, right? The world starts to be a little bit more vibrant. Like say, for example, us here. Things are a little bit different. Some of us would rather not be home. Some of us would rather just be here. And the reason why is Sunday night or night like tonight or being around Chief or maybe going to the beach tomorrow. Some of us haven't had opportunities like that in years. Our world is so specific, so dark, so scary, so weird. But we walk into this brand new environment. We say yes to Jesus, and all of a sudden we start to see that the environment changes. We have something very different to look forward to. The music's loud, if you would. It's very exciting. Lots of colors, lots of cool things to be able to look at. Next thing was it's free to enter. Jesus paid the price. There's no entrance fee to salvation into this new life. It doesn't require for us to be able to pay anything to be able to get into this nice little environment at all. You just believe. You just believe you're able to get into this environment. It's exactly how it works. There are some people, like say, for example, the thief on the cross. He died literally, he gave his life to Christ and believed in Christ and was given a promise right before he died. You know, he didn't have enough time to do anything. He didn't have time to be able to go to church, baptize, nothing. He didn't do anything. He didn't listen nice to somebody. He didn't do anything, give tithe. He did nothing. The only thing he could have done was died, and that's what he did. And so, even the thief on the cross, like I said, salvation is free. It's a free gift from God himself. And so for Christ to be able to give us that gift is absolutely free. So to be able to be part of that environment isn't necessarily costing you much of anything. To be able to believe in God is the only thing that it is that we need. And the last thing we have here about the environment is that you gotta get some currency. You gotta pay to play. You gotta pay to play.
Amen.
Some of these games that we're gonna end up talking about are the games of life. Is these tests that come up. Or these things that come up where we're like, I really want to be able to get over this test. I really want to be able to get over this challenge, whatever that thing is. Well, it's gonna cost you something. That's not free. Those opportunities are not free. To be in the environment, hang out, to be able to feel the salvation of God, that's fine. That's free. But when it comes to, do you want to earn something for yourself? Well, that's going to cost. That's going to get some currency. You're going to have to get some currency. You got to pay to play these games. And you're going to pay pieces of yourself, pieces of your sanity at times. It goes into our second part here. The games. Oof. This is the main reason why we're here. It costs to play. All challenges in life require different levels of sacrifice. If you want more, you'll play more. If you want more in your life, if you want more blessings in your life and things in your life, you're going to have to pay more. You're going to have to give up more of yourself to be able to actually play. It's going to hurt. You're going to have to give up some of your, you're going to have to sacrifice some of the things that it is that you have when it comes to your currency. How many of you know that $100 in your pocket is $100 in my pocket? That's very valuable. It's going to cost me to be able to play this game. Be able to have somebody come to me and ask me for a ride or say, can you help me out with something? It's going to cost me to be able to play that game. What game am I playing at that point? All depends on what it is that you're working towards, right? Next thing is that you got to get good. You're going to have to get good at these life challenges. Play them over and over. Some will be easy and some will be hard. Some of these games are difficult. Some of the games are like the games of patience, dealing with your ex, dealing with your mother-in-law, dealing with certain people, DMV. Dealing with yourself at times. Sometimes these games can be pretty difficult, sometimes they're pretty easy. Easy as walking by somebody and being able to tell them, you know what, have a blessed day. Pretty easy game. But man, you do that enough, you start getting some tickets, right? It's going to cost something though. You got to get good at it. You got to practice it over and over again, being able to go through these certain scenarios. It's the same games at these places. You're just going to have to do them over and over if you want to get good, but you have to get good. Because again, we're working towards the prizes. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
You got to play more and gain more. Remember that you need lots of wins to gain better blessings. To gain better blessings, bigger blessings, the ones that really sit way on us, those ones that are like, man, I really want those ones, we got to start getting good. And we got to start winning a lot more too. We got to start playing more. We got to start playing these games more. Start going into these situations, these challenges, and being able to accept them, be able to say, I'll take that on. I'm working for a prize right now. I'll take them on. I'll take on the, hey, we're gonna go see my mother. You're gonna go see your mother-in-law. All right, let's take it on. Yeah, I'm ready for that. Let's do that. We're gonna go feed the homeless. Oh my God. All right, fine. Let's go do that. Hey, we're gonna go to school. We're gonna go to work. We're gonna go do something that you have to do. All right, cool. I gotta go do that. I gotta get good at this. I gotta get good at this game because there's a prize at the end. There's something that's gonna come to me. You got a lot of hard work. If you want blessings, you're gonna have to work hard. I think most people know this in general. But what is all that for? All this is for the prizes, right? Prizes. You got a bunch of prizes, remember? All kinds of prizes, all prizes. There are all kinds of blessings to work towards. Big ones, small ones, low cost, high cost. Anybody give me just any prize that you think you're working towards when it comes to your relationship with God? Think of any prizes. What would be a prize? Yeah.
To like be stronger within your belief.
Strength and faith. I love that. Yes. Peace. That's a great one. Yeah.
I'm becoming the woman that God wants me to be.
Yes, becoming the woman that God wants you to be. That's great. Yeah.
Love the people I don't really like.
Yes, loving your enemies. Absolutely. That's a good one. Yes, sir.
Understanding that my life is already written for me before I even step foot here.
I like that. It's like going with the flow, right?
Well, really not with the flow. It's kind of like understanding like this shit was already fucking gonna happen to me no matter what was gonna happen. You know what I mean?
Okay, so looking towards purpose also. Being able to understand that things are going to play out the way they do. I like that. That's a good thing to have understanding of what it is that we go through in our life. There's all kinds of prices. Like I said, there are big ones, there are small ones, and we'll get to what those look like. And then we have low cost and high cost. So all kinds of prices that we can get. I like that because we're also individualized by that point. We're all personal people. We're all individual people. So there's all kinds of different ones that we'll go to. There are people that go up, kids that go up there and they're like, I'll take that one and this one. Another kid will say, I'll take this one and that one. I'll just take this one here. I just want a bunch of these ones. Kids are all different. We're all different. We all want different prizes, but there's a bunch of them to choose from, which is really great. Yeah, the little toys cost little. The small blessings are pretty easy to obtain. People that are just decent citizens can get those. Meeting people at church, getting a raise, finding a spouse, getting a job, etc. These little ones cost little. Honestly, you don't have to be coming to church to be able to get any of these prizes. It's actually relatively simple to get. These low level prizes, most people can get, right? Sometimes they're hard, depending on where we're at in our life and how many setbacks have happened, or maybe what cards that we were dealt. But some of these things are pretty low level for the most part. We know that when we get to these low level places, we start getting to that place to say, I want some big level prizes now. We start working our way towards something. Oh, I didn't know I was capable of even getting low level prizes. Because we're super content at a certain point, then we get to a place where like, I'm looking for the big prizes. But the little toys cost little. They really don't cost too much to be able to get to that point. And it's good to have them, and I think they're great, and I think they're the ones that keep us content. But at the same time, they are so small. But then you have the big toys, which cost the most. The big blessings are the ones that no one can fake. The fruits of the Spirit, those are hard to obtain. To me, big toys, fruits of the Spirit. Can anybody name any of the fruits of the Spirit? Yeah, any of them, it's fine. Yes?
Long suffering.
Yes, long suffering is one of them, absolutely. Love, yes, absolutely.
Joy.
Joy, yes, absolutely.
Patience.
Patience, another one. Kindness is another one.
Self-control.
Speak up, what was it?
Self-control, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, joy. I don't know, I'm going backwards now.
Alright, sweet. All those ones are the big cost ones. Those ones cost the most. I'm telling you right now, it's an absolute guarantee. Those ones cost the most. To be able to love, woof. Forgiveness, ugh. To be able to have long suffering, ugh. Those are hard. Those are rough. Those are the ones on the wall at the top. Those are the big ones. Those cost the most. And trust me, if you gained any of those fruits of the Spirit, you know how much it hurt. You know how much it costs. You know how much of yourself had to die to be able to get some of that. I think it's important for us to understand that there are big prizes as well. And then the gold toy. We usually have to set up goals beforehand. Before we start playing, we want to know what we're working for. I think sometimes the goals start to change. Sometimes the prizes begin to change as we're playing. Sometimes we're looking at it and we're like, you know what, I actually want that now. You know, I actually change it up as we move along. I think a lot of us, what we do, and we should do, is say, I'm working towards that. I think sometimes we be content when we actually start gaining Jesus bucks and like start actually getting these tickets in. And I'll just take whatever I want. I'll take whatever I get. It's fine. But I think that when we do that, we short sell ourselves. I think we're not giving ourselves an opportunity to be able to push and to be able to actually go for prizes that are actually going to work for us, the blessings that are going to work for us. Some of us are like, I need patience. That's what I'm working towards. So when I go play the games, deal with the in-law, deal with the ex, deal with the DMV, deal with addiction, all these different games that I'm playing, I know what I'm working towards. I'm working towards patience. I'm working towards love. I'm working towards these big ticket items because I know that I need it. I gotta have it. It's that kid. I gotta have that. We have to be that. We have to be at that place. I gotta have it, right? And I think it's important for us to be in that place. So given all this information about how it is that I'm seeing it, hopefully I'm getting you guys on track with how it is that I'm seeing this analogy. And I want to share with you guys a couple of my experiences given this analogy. This is me talking as a kid, okay? And I want you to see if you can see what it is that I feel as an adult when I use this analogy. Sometimes I couldn't play the game because I didn't have enough tokens. Wow. Sometimes I was a poor kid. Or maybe I blew all the tokens, that's something stupid. But sometimes I couldn't play the game because I didn't have enough tokens. I think some of us get into the spiritual sense of things and go to certain places and do certain things, but you know what? We're kind of bankrupt. We don't really have a lot to be able to play these games. There's certain scenarios where you'll see people at certain places and certain things going through certain challenges. Like, how come I can't do that? It's like you may not be able to afford it right now. You may not be able to place right now where you can even give up enough to be able to be at that place. You may be so bankrupt spiritually that you can only give a little at a time. I know that spot. I know the spot where I'm like, how come I can't get those things? It's like, because you're not there yet, dude. Like, you don't understand the cost of sacrifice to be able to play that game. That's going to require so much out of you to be able to play that game. You don't have what it takes right now. It's okay, though. Time will come where you will. But right now, it's not the time. But man, I was upset about that. Sometimes I couldn't play the game because I didn't have enough tokens. That was a real thing that happened in my life. And it happened often enough. And I have to get this into my school now. That sometimes, you know what, maybe I just don't have enough tokens to be able to play that game. How come they get to stand on stage? And how come they get to do this and that? How come he has that position? And how come they have the boyfriend? And they have the person, and they have the this and the job and the that and that. It's like, dude, you may not have enough tokens to play that game. You may not be ready. And that's okay. Maybe now is not the time. Maybe a little bit later we'll get some more things to be able to throw down. But it's important for us to be able to understand. Sometimes that happens. It's okay to play your game, whatever the game that looks like. Here's another experience of mine. I got mad at those who were better at certain games than me.
That sounds like an OU fan.
Oh yeah.
I'm just
I
saying.
got mad at those who were better at certain games than me. I would watch my cousins or random strangers and stuff, and just be mad at the fact that they were just good at a game. They were just doing something. I was never good at the basketball one, so you get the kids, boom, 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 just boom, 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 boom. I'm just like, that's lame. Like, it sucks. I get mad at them. I get, they suck. It's not me. And I would get mad at them. They were better than me. It happens a lot today. You get mad at people. You get envious of people because they're better at things than you are. You see them going through the experiences of life, and they've been probably doing it for a long time. They're just so good at it, you get envious of them. How come I can't do it like that? It's not fair. How come they're so good at that game, and I can't do it, that experience? I can't do that. You get mad at them. You get envious. It doesn't make any sense to me why I can't be good at that. Well, maybe you don't realize that maybe they've been practicing for a very long time. Maybe they got to spend a lot of tokens to be able to be really good at that game. Maybe it's the only game they play. You ever get that sense? Maybe it's the only game they play. Maybe they're really good at the job that they do because it's the only thing they do. Why other people are good at games and I'm not, it's not really up to me to be able to figure out. But what I got to figure out is why I get mad at them for that. And this happens often enough. It has happened often enough for me. There's another one. I wasted time playing low-level games I was good at because I was too insecure to play the games I wasn't good at.
Man, come on. Preach.
I wasted time playing low-level games I was good at because I was too insecure to play the games I wasn't good at. I would sit there at the game that I knew I was good at. It didn't even pay out very much at all. Give me like a ticket to play. Well, you know what? I'm playing that game all day long. I wasn't trying to learn to play any other games that probably would pay me out way more because you know what? That's too hard. I don't want to look stupid as I'm trying to play the game. I don't want to sit there and put some tokens in and I go by and I lose and I get frustrated with myself and say, I'm not playing this game. I'd rather go play this game. This one that I know that I'm good at. Do this over and over again. How often does this happen inside of our lives? We waste time doing the same low-level things over and over, give ourselves some pats on the back, and we're too scared to be able to try something new. We're too scared to take on the challenges in our lives that's actually going to probably pay us out a little bit better. We won't do it because we're too insecure. So what we do is we just stay in our tiny little circle, our little corner, and say, I'm just going to keep doing this little low-level thing. And I want to get high fives and praises for doing this low-level thing for the rest of my life. In the same way that person over there is doing really hard work and say, no, that's not fair, you should give me a participation trophy for that. And I think that in a lot of ways we have to be able to understand the only reason why you're stuck doing that same low-level thing is because you're just insecure. I had to be able to get to that point a couple times. And as a kid, I definitely did that. I stayed at specific games because I was too insecure to try the ones that I knew that I wasn't very good at. Can you guys take on some more?
Yeah.
Good.
Amen! I only ever aimed for low-level prizes because I thought the high-level prizes were impossible to get. I only ever aimed for low-level prizes because I thought the high-level prizes were impossible to get. I aimed low when it came to my prizes. Remember I told you, I stayed right here. I stayed on the cabinets right here. Laffy Taffy and Snickers, a tiny little snack Snickers bar. I took a little army guy.
The little fake frog.
Yeah, little fake frogs, yeah. Little ball, bouncy ball. Those are the ones that I went for. I barely ever went for the ones on the wall. The reason why I didn't is because I always found that to be impossible. There's no way that I can get that. So I lowered my expectations for myself and say, I'm just going to stay down here. I'm just only ever going to go for these prizes here. That means that I only aim for those low-level prizes because truly, I thought that the high-level prizes were impossible. Impossible. There are certain things that we're doing today that would be impossible to a version of myself 5-10 years ago. 5-10 years ago, a version of myself saying like, that is impossible. What are you feeling? Peace? That is impossible. I can't feel peace. What are you, nuts? You're talking to that person? There's no way that I can talk to that person. That's impossible. Fact of the matter is that we do impossible things because we serve an impossible God, or more so, impossible God. Why can't we aim for impossible? I'll never be patient. Why? It's impossible. I can't be patient. I was raised this way, I have a family, blah, 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 all these different excuses. Like, you should probably aim for something higher than just these low-level prizes. Like, you know what, it's just the job, that's all it is that I need. No, that's a low-level prize. You know what, all I really need right now is just a place to stay. It's like, I understand why you think that that's as far as you can go as a person. I'm telling you, you're so much more than that. Aim for patience, aim for love, aim for kindness. I know this seems impossible, but if you work hard enough, I promise you, with the Holy Spirit with you, you will start breaking up the Jesus bugs. And I think it's important for us to be able to understand that sometimes I am low just because I short-sighted myself when I was capable of doing it. I usually lost every low-level toy I got. Every low-level toy I got, I usually lost them. Yeah, a little Chinese trap, right? Your thumb stuck in it. I usually lost every single low-level toy that I got. I think the reason why is because it's low-level, easy come, easy go. I really don't value them that much. So I spent all that time working for those little low-level things, and should be told, it really wasn't that hard to do that. Remember, I stayed insecure, I did the things that I like to do, but I only got very few tickets, and I bought out the very low-level stuff. And because it was just low-level stuff, I lost them pretty easy too. I lost countless bouncy balls, countless little army men, countless, I ate all the Snickers. I lost all kinds of balls. See, for me, I usually lost all the low-level toys. High-level toys are the ones that you value. Those are the ones I'll never lose that. You don't have any idea how hard I worked to be able to get the high-level toy? No way I'll lose that. I'll probably keep it in the box.
Stuffed animals.
Yeah, stuffed animals will stay with you. Some of the RC cars that you have, man, you take care of that stuff. It's high level. Some of these low-level stuff, sometimes I lost them. Sometimes we keep them for sure. But I think if we aim low, then we're not really going to keep them for too long usually, yes.
You said earlier how like you could stay at a low level and be like content
Yes.
until you get to nothing, right?
Yeah.
I feel like everybody's content is different.
I believe you're right.
And so I think like for me getting my an example of my eyebrows done, that's like a fucking high level ass toy
Absolutely.
that I never thought I'd be able to do.
Absolutely.
For someone else, that might be something that's like low level
Yeah.
for them. And then learning the difference of also how you're saying like when you get mad at other people, cause like you know, but I think it's just taking like grace. And for me, what I used to do when I was just in Chuck E. Cheese or like, I would play as many games as I could, and then I would keep all the tickets, and I'd give myself one like little toy to play with if I'm gonna lose it, and then I would go back the next time, bring all the tickets I had, and then get a bunch more tickets and add them together, and then get what I really wanted.
Hey, I like that. That's this idea of saving. You got very quickly got this idea of saving.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a lot. That's great.
Yeah,
I like to talk about content too. Because you're right. As a kid, there were certain times when I first got there, low-level toys were the best. I walked in with nothing. I walked out with something. It was the best thing in the world.
Right.
But man, I went there to Chuck E. Cheese probably once a month. My dad worked at Chuck E. Cheese. He used to play as Chucky, the big mouse, and that was not the killer. And he used to play. Like, so we used to go, like I said, like once every month. We used to go over there. So the first time around, it was fun, right? Be able to get the low-level stuff or whatever, because it was, again, I walked in with nothing, I walked out with something.
Yeah.
But after a while, the army man and everything is cool, but man, you start looking up and you start looking at other things. And when you start looking at other things, you have two choices. One, to be able to look at them and say, you know what? I think I'm going to start working towards that. Or two, like I said, no, I don't think that I can. I think it's impossible for me to do that. And I think it's up to us to be able to figure out where we're at when it comes to life. And I think you're right. Everybody has a version of content. But content can very quickly turn into complacency. And what we don't want to do is find a place of complacency, because I should be happy at every single level. As it goes like this. Life goes like this. It doesn't go like this. I promise you right now, life is just not like this. Life goes like this. Like this, okay? If you're not content at every single stage of your life, then you're going to be miserable as you go through this weird roller coaster. To be content at every level is to say, I got some low-level prizes and I was super happy about that. I got some high-level prizes and I was super happy about that. And I got some low-level prizes the next time I went out, I was pretty happy about that. I think being able to go through life and figure out how it is that you go through it and how it is that it works for you, it's a beautiful thing because what you're practicing is intent more than anything, right? And it's an amazing thing.
Mm-hmm.
But if you find yourself being complacent and saying, I won't shoot for big because I think I'll only ever get small, I think that's different. I don't think that's content. I think that's complacent. Not saying what you're saying. I'm just expounding on it.
Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful thing when we're able to get to that place where we're like, dude, I'm happy with walking out with some bubble gum. It's a beautiful place to be. Jeep says 2 tacos away from happess. It's a beautiful place to be.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean I'm going to cut
I had
myself
2
short
tacos
from being
today.
something.
Fucking amazing.
2 tacos will make your life better, straight up. But we definitely get to that place where if we aim low, eventually we're not going to value it. And if we continue to just, I'm just going to aim low from this point on, then you're not going to value it too much to the point to where you'll probably just lose it. At least that's what it is. My experience was. Now, not all of the experiences that I had, they were all negative. Obviously, I was a kid and I loved doing things that I did there. Some of the things are actually pretty good. I tried asking others how they got good at certain games. There's a lot of times where I ask people, like, how do you doing that? I've been trying to play this game. I'm not very good at it. How are you getting that one little light coming through? And a little kid will like, well, you gotta be, and they give you like their whole entire rundown about how they do it in the best way they can. And I'm sitting there listening to them, probably taking down mental notes. But I had to get to that point where I tried asking others how they got good at games. I think a lot of us, it's important to be able to do that too, right? When was the last time you had to ask somebody, hey, how did you get over that grieving period? How did you get over that moment where you had to practice some patience? How did you get over, not hating your mother-in-law? Certain things like that would have to come up. But you have to ask for advice. You have to ask people that are actually good at it. You're good at this, right? Yes, you are. I want to ask you some questions about it because I need some pointers. I need some direction. I need to know how to beat this game because I need to beat this game. I'm looking for some high-level tickets, and this is the game to do it for. I really, really want to get good at that. So sometimes I try asking others about how they got good at the game, and I gave some tips. I didn't mind sharing tokens with those who had little. Sometimes I would go to with my cousins and my friends and stuff like that, and sometimes I would get a bunch of tokens. At least at the time, I thought it was a bunch of tokens. And sometimes I didn't mind sharing tokens with the kids that didn't have much tokens at all. They usually give them little cups. You get little cups, and everybody had the cup, and so there's always a kid or my cousin or somebody who just blew them all wins for whatever on top. And you're like, do you have your tokens? Yeah, I got some tokens, and give them some tokens. Sometimes I didn't mind sharing tokens with those who had them. I think we see that a lot inside of our own lives. We see the cost of what it takes for us to be at a certain place. To be able to give to those who don't have as many tokens as you do is actually a beautiful thing. Because what that means is that they get to play too. Sometimes when they're at a certain point in life where I can't play, I don't have anything else, I have nothing else to give. You know what? Let me take you. Let me listen to what it is you have to say. Let me get you to play this game even though you don't have a token. Let me jump in front of the bullet for you. Let me try to help you out. Let me try to get you to play the game even though you can't afford it. It's okay for me to be able to help out. And sometimes I didn't give out of abundance. Sometimes I was looking at like 4 and like, all right, well, here, you can have 1. And I was sitting there like, yeah, at least 3. And that wasn't a lot. At that point, you probably only played 2 more games out of that. But to be able to help people that had little, it was an opportunity for me to be able to share. And I gotta say, I have to thank my parents for that. It's not like I just naturally did it. My parents forced me to do that at first, but then after a while, I get used to it and be able to give out tokens to people. I love the shows. If you didn't know, over at Chuck E. Cheese, they have these like little animatronics. And they're all like sitting there and they're doing this whole entire show and everything. And it's super creepy now, but then it was amazing. Like it was one of the best things ever. And there was, and anybody's a local, there was a place called Bullwinkle's. And yeah, and that was all about Rocky and Bullwinkle like themed kind of place like this. Same thing, animatronics, anything like that. Those shows were cool. Because in between all the games and everything, you're sitting there eating your pizza, you get to watch this whole entire show go on. And the show was fun because it kind of kept your vibes up.
It was in Montclair, right?
There was a Rocky and Bullwinkle here in Fountain Valley.
Oh, okay, because we had one in Montclair too.
Nice, yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. But by the end of it, I did love watching the shows because it kept the positive vibes up. To me, what that means today is that the shows now is the thing like tomorrow, Harvest Crusade. The thing like tonight, being able to show up and just kind of listen, hang out. Amen. The ability to be able to watch people just be people and connect with each other. On Sunday nights, when somebody goes on stage and they say something crazy and random, we're like, what? This is nuts. Like, can't believe they said that on stage. There's those moments that kind of goes like, I love the shows. What do I love? I love life happening. Life happening is really cool. It keeps the vibes up, especially in a circle like this where we're living raw life. And some weird things are happening. Some awesome things are happening. Some lifey things are just happening. But for us, we love it. And we should. Because what it does is it encourages us to be like, yeah, this is my environment. This is what I signed up for. This stuff keeps me in line. And some of this stuff has nothing to do with playing games. Sometimes at that time we're not playing games. We're not going through the challenges. Sometimes we're just sitting there and we're just enjoying it. We're just enjoying what it means to just be alive, to be able to experience life and to be able to soak it in. I love the shows. And they kept my spirits up. And it's my last one. Hug from Chucky made me feel special.
Remember your dad?
I think it's my dad. So when you walk into this place and you know the guys that runs this place, right? You know it's like, oh, who's the main character here? It's Chucky. He's the main character, right? When he's there, and once in a while, you have some poor old soul that has to get into that hot suit, hate his life probably, and walk out and be the mascot and be all super happy for some random kid's birthday who's probably going to pull on his tail or whatever. When he gave you a hug, when he embraced you, when he got close to you, especially the pedestal that you put him on, it made you feel special. It made you feel like, wow, like the best thing just happened today. Like that's a big moment. And that to me is, obviously, I told you guys my dad, who used to be Chucky, that getting a hug was getting a hug from your father. And for us, it's our spiritual father. It's that moment where God comes to you and he gives you that moment of peace when you probably didn't deserve it. It's that moment where you're crying your eyes out and you don't know what to do, and God gives you that sense of comfort. It's those moments where God blesses you randomly, as you're just like, I do something like that. It's like, wow, I feel special. God came out of his way to be able to make me feel something. And man, it just changes everything. Now, everything that's there is fun. Everything that's there is cool. The games are cool. The shows are cool. All these things are cool. But man, that one specific thing made me feel special. I know that I'm gaining things for myself and doing things for myself. By the end of it, when something like that happens, it just did something else. It reminded me of this whole entire why I'm here, this whole entire element of all of this. Why am I here? Why am I going for blessings? Why am I going for all these different prizes and things like that in my Christian walk? It's all fun. We're all gaining stuff. But man, the main attraction is to be able to feel connected to God, to be able to have that moment. It's a beautiful thing. And whenever this happens, it usually happens to the kids that are there for the birthday party and stuff like that. It's awesome. It's a lot of fun when you get to that place where you finally get a hug from Chucky. And like I said, it's making you feel special. And I'll end this with the scripture. 1 Corinthians 9:24-27 says, this is Paul writing to the Corinthians. We'll get there, Mike, in a couple weeks. It says, do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one gets a prize? Run in such a way as to get the prize. Everyone who competes in the games goes into strict training. They do it to get a crown that will not last, but we do it to get a crown that will last forever. Therefore, I do not run like someone running aimlessly. I do not fight like a boxer beating the air or shadow boxing. No, I strike a blow to my body and make it my slave, so that after I have preached to others, I myself will not be disqualified for the prize. Paul himself likened the idea of being able to run this race, this Christian walk, like a competition too. He saw it like going for a prize. He saw it like being able to have that competitive spirit, being able to go out of your way and say, I gotta get good at this. I gotta be able to fight for this. I gotta be able to know what I'm going for. What prize am I going for? I'm not going for some rinky-dink prize. I'm going for something that actually matters. Something that's big, something that will last forever. And those are those characteristics that we're building. It's those things that nobody can take from us. The Bible very much likes to, as best as it possibly can, be able to get to the point where we start understanding things like Jesus bugs or any of these things that we kind of chuck out. We want to be able to understand that. And the best way that we can do this is really kind of like line it up with things that we do understand here on this earth. It's the reason why Jesus spoke in parables, is because he wants us to be able to say, it's like, I don't really get what that looks like. He says, well, let me explain this to you in something you might be able to understand. And that's the only thing that I was trying to do tonight, is get us to a place to be able to say, well, what does Jesus bucks mean to you? How many Jesus bucks do you have? How many Jesus bucks have you earned? How many Jesus bucks were given to you? How many Jesus bucks are you wanting to earn? What prizes are you going for? What things are you trying to obtain in your life? Blessings are you trying to obtain in your life? Are you getting good at these games? Do you want to get good at these games? Are you trying to go in for something? Do you love the environment? Are you trying to be able to get to that place where, just looking for a nice little hug from Chucky? Maybe I'm just here for a show or two. Maybe I'm here for the whole entire experience. To be able to, look at these things and digest them and say, like, where am I at in this whole walk, in this experience of going to Chuck E. Cheese, or more so to say, obviously for us tonight, where am I at when I come to digesting this whole new Christian walk? It's a brand new environment for me. What am I doing here? And what is it that I'm trying to do with it? Yes?
Okay, so can I say what I got out of all this?
Yeah, of course, go for it.
Super fast. So when I was little, Chuck E. Cheese for me, my experience with Chuck E. Cheese was like playing as much as I could because that's what I was there for. Right? I really didn't think about what prize I was getting. I just would collect, and then I'd go up to the counter like, okay, how many tickets do I have? Hand them over. They tell me how many I have, then I pick my prize.
Yeah.
So I can honestly say that right now I feel like maybe, possibly, I'm not sure, but how I feel is I'm here for the whole experience. I'm here to just experience everything, and I'll wrap up my Jesus Bucks when the time comes, you know. But I'm not worried about that. I just trust that like whatever I get will be good enough. You know?
I love it. Just a disclaimer: this is not a biblical analogy. The Bible didn't talk about Chuck E. Cheese as a biblical thing. So I'm not looking for anybody to not poke holes in my analogy here. That is a great analogy. To be able to say that I'm here to just enjoy the whole entire prize, the whole entire experience, and whatever it is that I get at the end when it comes down to what I'm getting with my Jesus Bucks, I'm cool with it. That's a beautiful way of looking at it. Being able to soak in that experience, be able to say, I'm just here for all of it. I'm glad that I'm here. I didn't even know where I was going at a certain point. I can't believe I found a Chuck E. Cheese that's still standing. Be able to even get in was a surprise to me. I'm gonna chill right here for the next 20 minutes, just being able to soak in the environment. Maybe I'll watch a show, maybe I'll play a game, doesn't matter. I'm just glad I'm here. And I think that's a great place to be. Thank you for sharing. Yes, Wes?
No, I think this is great because Chief shared the other day about delighting the Lord and He will
The desires of your heart.
The desires of your heart. And I think there was a time in my faith where it was like I want to give up everything and follow God.
Yeah.
And so with that being said, it's like I wanted to get rid of all my worldly desires.
Yeah.
And in that process, well, what are the prizes that I want?
Yeah.
Because I didn't think about it like that because I feel like for me, the whole experience was, I grew up with a little brother and a little sister, so it's like, I got all the tickets, but I was like, here, take my tickets.
Yeah.
So I never really racked up the prizes, and I was just like, yeah, whatever, just playing the game was enough.
Yeah.
But I feel like there comes a point where it's just like, man, I do want a prize.
Yeah.
And I guess a part of that can get to that point of am I really continuing on the right path because I keep giving away my bucks?
Right.
You know what I mean? And so it's okay, I'm not even saving it and I feel like in that regard of spiritual dryness, right? When you can't afford anymore, right? Yeah. So it's in that sense of you can get to a point where you're if you're not cashing in your prizes for yourself, for instance, those spiritual gifts or whatever, then you continuously giving out your bucks, you're going to continuously broke.
Yeah, and you might get burnt out, right? Yeah. If by the end of it I don't really get any prizes, I'll probably get over the experience.
Yeah.
I'll be like, I'm really not into going to Chuck E. Cheese because by that point it stays there. Right. I don't get to take anything with me. Nothing's mine. Nothing's really mine by that point. I'm just kind of doing a lot of servanthood, but I'm not really gaining anything for myself. And that's an emotional burnout. That's a spiritual burnout. That happens all the time.
So I really appreciate that because that's different. It's something that kind of adds a little bit more of a layer that's God does want to give you something.
Yeah. So I believe it. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. Yes.
I think that this was a really cool way to break it down for us, and use that as an analogy to show us especially for me, where I'm at right now, where I was 2 weeks ago, where I was a month ago. I've seen a change in myself the more I lean towards God. Yeah. Honestly, because I've not ever fully leaned on Him and been patient and been just here in the moment and strive for right now and strive for just right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? I've always been one to push through, or make way for everyone behind me. Say. Yeah. Like Wes was saying, he had a little brother and a little sister. I have a little brother, and I was the oldest by 4 years. So I had a lot of pressure on me at a very young age to make the way and show the right way and do the right things and be that guiding factor. When they're not there, I was supposed to take off the slack. You know what I mean? And so I was always that way throughout all my life. And right now it's just for me right now. And so I'm seeing my Jesus bucks slowly but surely gathering them, and I'm seeing more change in myself than I thought I ever would. Yeah. Because of the way I'm leaning, rather than not doing anything with my time, asking us to help me read through the Bible. Yeah. Where should I start for a first time Bible reader? You know what I mean? And then he's if you want to talk about it, we can talk about it too. Mm-hmm. And that would be cool. And I was okay, well, yeah. But sometimes you don't understand a lot, and sometimes like throughout years, like I didn't take everything in it. And like I told him last night, I was like, I heard things and I heard the stories, but I didn't take heed to them and like apply them to what I'm going through necessarily, or even like pay full on attention. And like I find myself more and more, the more I come to Bible study, the more I'm around you guys, I find myself leaning towards people here and asking for like guidance here, you know what I mean? Or like where should, like trying to figure out what the right path is for me, but not pushing too hard and trying to speed through it.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool. I
think it's beautiful because that ends up being a challenge within itself.
It is.
It's how do I know more? How do I get better at this? How do I grow? Like those types of things. And that ends up becoming one of the games, one of the challenges for itself. I've had people all the time, all week, texting me, all the time, asking me questions about certain things, asking me, telling me certain Bible scriptures that they're reading, whether they understand it or not. They're letting me know that they're moving in that direction.
Right.
And at that point, it is asking somebody else, I'm trying to get good at this game. How do I play this game? This game of learning, this game of growing, this game of being spiritually founded on a rock, if you would, finding a good foundation. And being able to be available to teach other people. When you if you get good at any of these games, please share with people how you got good at it. Share with people how they can get tickets too. So by that point, there's a billion tickets in those machines.
I feel like it started when I went to the one class at Liftoff, where you showed us like to be more like water, right? And it started like it triggered that one bit triggered a lot of different things inside of me, like and in my head where I wanted to go. And like how to get there isn't to push through fast and like just let it flow. Like be more patient, you know what I mean, with what's going on around me and not make such a big deal of worrying about this because this is what I need to focus on.
Yeah, I love it. That's great. Yes.
I think I think it's really beautiful that she's looking at it like that because, like she said, everybody's level is different, right? And the fact that you can recognize yours, you see the beauty in yours, and you can take your time and marinate in it. Because right now in the beginning, that's what's so important. You know what I mean? And you'll see so many women around you that are accelerating at different levels, but don't pay no mind to that. You listen to what's going on, and it's so beautiful. Like it's so beautiful. Like whoa, like that moved me right now. Like so did she. So did she. Like it's so much. I'm so grateful that I came.
I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful when you're able to see that movement in other people. Be able to see the growth that's actually happening.
I think even just in my life, right? Like I've been clean 11 years, right? I haven't touched methamphetamines in 11 years, but I'm still fucked in the head.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like there's nothing that sets me apart just because I've been clean. And this scripture tonight is it reminds me that as I'm growing with Christ, like because I know who He is and I know that I'm saved, but I also know that I'm a sinner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that I'm never gonna be perfect because when I am perfect, I no longer need Him. Right. And so I'm going through a lot right now. But this reminds me that there's purpose in my life and I have to trust in that. And so when I take my days by the book, sometimes that's how I have to take them. I have to do it with purpose. Because if I'm just fucking wailing, I'm not hitting directly. You know what I mean? And so sometime life requires you to hit directly. And in order to find that direction, you need Jesus. Like,
well, and that's like what he's talking
wow,
about,
fire
right? Well, that's what he's talking about.
It's
so the
beautiful
reality
thing. I'm
is,
so glad I came.
that's exactly what Anthony's talking about, playing higher games, taking on the challenges.
Right.
But the bigger prizes are the fruits of the Spirit. It tells us exactly what they are.
Yeah, because they're not tangible. Them big prizes aren't things that I can hold on to.
The low level prizes are external gratification, instant gratification. I can get in a relationship, I can get a this, I can get a that, I can be codependent and still get married. You know what I mean? And there's so many things that can happen in this low level tray of prizes, right? But the fruits of the Spirit are very clearly identified for us. If I'm going after long suffering, if I'm going after joy, if I'm going after love, you know, and really, really going after those things with my God, then I'm going to have to let go of all this little kid stuff. And it talks about that too, right? I need to, as a child, I play with toys. As I mature, I have to put immature things away. I have to put the toys away and I have to learn to eat on my own. So I have to have this reliance on my God that doesn't
come in anything but the lessons that we have to walk through to get to the other side, you know, and those are bigger challenges, new level, new devil is what my dad used to say.
And what a blessing it is, right? The blessing to be able to even be given challenges that are higher level.
What a gift!
Because
That's the
I mean, there's these places where like Cody and I we talk about here and there. We talk about boxing here and there, right? Very sparsely, right? Even mixed. It'll say like, man, it's hard as you're training with people that are boxing for real. It's just like I can't. 9 minutes? What are you nuts? You know? It's like the strategic way of boxing. As Paul's talking about, a strategic way of going about things. Oh man, that requires me to change my mind. Because before, you're ready to I'm just trying to end this in less than a minute. And I'm going to get scrappy, and I'm going to break all the rules, and I'm just going to completely just get it done, right? And you get used to that chaotic way of doing something. But then, all of a sudden, it's like, no. Now we're going to do some actually high-level fights. The one's going to give you some high-level prizes. And when you get into that place, like, you got to learn the rules now. It's like, I'm not good at that. And there's a lot of people who say, boxing's whack, because blah, blah, blah. It's like, I know why you say that. You say that because you're not capable of doing it. You're not capable of doing it because you don't challenge yourself to actually try. And so when you see people start to practice and train, and they're just throwing fists and stuff like this, and they're missing all of them, and they're just banking on one of them hitting really hard, 9 minutes of that, it's not really going to do that good, right? Yeah, you got to get to that point of those practices and those trainings and those challenges get us to a point where we get ready for that actual high level challenge. And when we get to that place, man, we're actually doing something.
But that's what the world teaches us, right? The world teaches us it backwards. They want us to do speed and then discipline. So we just try to go fast. It's like cheap. It's like Mike always says all the time too now, right? You want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go together. I've heard that said 50 different ways by now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the reality is the world, this fleshy world is going to tell us speed and then discipline. Who cares about the discipline? Just swing wild and get one good shot, right? But God's going to tell us discipline before speed.
That's right.
Like you need to know the structure first, and then you can go faster, right? And so to slow all the way down when I know I got a chance being wild up here, that's where the challenge is, the discipline.
And it's beautiful to be able to give in those opportunities to even actually get in the ring like that. Not used to being asked to go into the ring. And so when those moments come, and I better be ready. I better be ready for those moments. I better have treated those low-level games and prizes seriously. Trust me with little, will trust you with much.
Right.
When I got to that opportunity, I actually knew what to do with it. And that's a great thing if I can. Yes?
I don't know. I have a lot going through my head.
Yeah.
But I was kind of comparing this in my head to the sobriety for me. And I feel like with sobriety, you can play the game as in trying to get sober, but you have to accept the wins and the losses.
Yes.
You know?
Of course.
And also, just because you lose, is that it? Or are you also going to go back and try again?
That's right.
And also, asking people for advice on things, or how did you get to this point? And being okay that it worked for them, it may not work for me, or it worked for them, and it probably even works better for me. You know?
Yeah.
And I feel I don't know, it just clicked, because the big book talks about promises, and the Bible talks about promises too. But there's also, I don't know, it's just a lot's making sense right now. It's really weird.
Good. I highly recommend you write. These are the moments.
Right.
And then thinking also, there's something that someone said, but I feel with certain challenges and obstacles, you just have to let go and trust in God. But that's the thing. Faith is uncertainty. The opposite of faith is being certain. So if you're certain about something and you know for sure you're gonna get it, that's different than being I hope I get it, and if I don't, then I don't. You know? And just being grateful that you're just alive.
Yeah.
And I feel when you have to let it go into God, that you can have a challenge or an obstacle or a monster so big in front of you that's 5 times your size, but you have to remind yourself that I got a bigger God behind me. You know, like I might have all this in front of me, but if I fall back, like I'm good. Like, you know, I'll get back up, and then I'll, instead of like when I fall, okay, well then this time I'll come back with some armor, or I'll come back with a bat or something. I don't know, you know. And then it'll like also like the discipline. Like if you work really hard for something and you don't get that instant gratification, then when you do get it, you feel like 10 times more because you worked so hard to get it. And I don't know, sorry, that's kind of everywhere, but it's just like, it's what's going through.
I love it. I think what happens is when we start allowing ourselves to think about God on a bigger scale, on this different scale, we start trying to understand, at least through our lenses, what things look like. Those click moments are important to be able to say, it's like, what am I looking for? What am I fighting for? What does it look like when I fail? What happens when I fail? A lot of these analogies should be able to get us to start thinking like, what happens when this happens? Or what happens to that? It's like, good, I'm glad you're thinking about that, because that's what we should be doing in life. A lot of times we're not thinking about those things at all.
No.
It's like, just move on in life and just, everything's going to be whatever, and nothing matters, and whatever happens, happens. And sometimes we overthink things and do nothing with it. We get to those places where we're constantly back and forth. Like, are you learning something? Are you moving forward? Are you doing anything that has to do with learning? What do you learn in a loss? It's such an important thing to know. Every single time I go through something and I get a loss in, something happens, some sort of like fall, I have to be able to dust myself up and say, what did I trip over? I have to look back and say, what did I trip over? Because if I don't do that, I'm going to dust myself off, which sometimes takes a lot. Sometimes there's a lot of blood. Sometimes to clean it up, I have to stop to be able to figure that out. And I don't look down. I don't try to figure out. I start going again and I trip again. And instead of looking like, what's tripping me up? Oh, my shoes are tied together. See, I wouldn't have been able to notice that if I wasn't going back and researching, why did I fall? We have to research, why did I fall? If we look back and say, oh, that's the reason. Can you do anything about that? That's the next question. That's the next question. Can you do anything about that? I can't move these rocks because that's just life. I can't control that. But I can walk around them. I can walk above them. I can walk on top of them. I can do something with that. To realize and try to figure out the things I can and cannot control is fundamental. For us to be able to know what it is that I can and cannot control. Cannot control is important, and what did I stumble over is also very important. So understanding these analogies is super important. I think it's one of the best things in the world. Billy, do you have something?
No.
All right, I'll talk to you after. Dan.
Yeah, when I was at Chuck E. Cheese as a kid, like me and my brother were more focused on like being of service than making more tickets, because we do the ones that you press the button and get a lot of tickets, but we chose to choose the Jurassic Park game and like rid the world of dinosaurs, and we didn't get much tickets for it. But
I love it. I love it. Sometimes, like I said this before, right? It's free to enter. And sometimes we're just content with one game that we got. I'm not even looking at prizes by this point. The fact of the matter is that salvation, or the idea of being close to God, it's just being there. It's just being there. Just enjoying your time. Enjoy your time. You see it. I don't think I ever saw a stressed out kid. Like in Chuck E. Cheese. Stressed out. Like, oh my God, how am I going to get this prize? And oh my God, I can't play this game. I don't really see the stressed out kid, not personally. But to be able to see all these kids just having a blast means that that environment is actually doing its job. It's allowing people to be able to enjoy that. Which means that, are we enjoying our environment? Is it interesting enough? If it's not, well then maybe you're a stressed out kid. Doesn't really understand. This is actually a lot of fun. There's actually a lot of great things going on here. Can you, at the very least, or very most, depending on who you are, just play that one game that doesn't give you any tickets at all? You're just having a blast playing it. I'm just glad that I'm here. I think it's awesome. Being able to be in that place, I think it's a good thing too. But again, to be able to watch out for complacency, I think that's important also. But I think it's cool that you be able to find a place to say, like, I like that. Because that was actually one of my favorite games too. Jurassic Park game where you shoot all, yeah, that was one of the best. But all in all, what I want to get to, what I want to kind of like bring to this idea of this Jesus Fucks thing, is that we're all working towards something. We're all building something for ourselves. We're all really trying to collect as much as we can, experience the ability to be able to capitalize in on these challenges and what they're teaching us, and to be able to actually get some prizes, get some blessings back in our lives. And I think it's important for us to be able to actually like pay attention to those types of things as well. I hope this analogy works well for you guys, get you to think a little bit more and try to like find more ways to be able to bring in these prizes and stuff like that, these blessings in our lives, because I think it's a beautiful thing if we're able to do that. And if anything, I hope we continue to move forward in the way that we see our lives and how we experience God and all that stuff as well. Would anybody like to close us out in prayer? I'm going to pray for suffering if you let me pray.
I will.
Please.
Okay. Heavenly Father, I just thank you, Lord, for Anthony and his Bible study, I always get a lot out of it, and I hope everybody else does. I just ask that you will help everyone with what they need help with, Lord. You know our hearts, you know where we're at in life and in our journey, Father God, so I just bring all of our small issues, because you are greater, God, and I just ask for traveling mercies for everybody, and that everyone have a good night. Amen.
Amen. Thank you guys. You guys have any prayer requests? Talk to Tris.
I have a nugget prayer request from right now. We can pray for you.